Milton Friedman, probably one of the most honored economists for many years, if not the entire last century and part of this one, he said the only responsibility that a corporation has is to its shareholders and to produce a profit for the shareholders. Now we have in 2019 had a group of corporate executives and they met and they said, part of our responsibility is to make sure we serve the community as well. Is it the responsibility of a corporation to make a profit for shareholders, or is this whole aspect of corporate social responsibility making certain that your business doesn't have any impact on the environment, nothing more than pandering? I think we need to pay attention to the aspect of it might be both. It is the duty of a corporation to make a profit because here's a simple aspect of it. We talk about corporate responsibility. What does that mean? How do we approach the concept of sustainability, which seems to be the aspect of corporate responsibility, making certain that whatever you take from the earth, you replenish from the earth, whatever you pollute, you clean up to make certain it's best after that. What are the best opportunities to improve carbon footprinting? How do you start? What are the trade-offs between sustainability and cost? And I guess that's probably the biggest rub when we talk about it. When you start looking at what exactly is corporate responsibility, what is the obligation of the corporation? Number one, and this is the most critical one of all, if a company is not making a profit, why is there a company? The company will not be able to sustain itself if it doesn't generate a profit. The people that invested to have the company going, they need to get something back for their return. Then if they aren't, they'll just take their money and go someplace else and the company will cease to exist. No matter what happens, it's nice to get on a bandwagon that says, all companies need to sit down and make certain they replenish this, to replenish that. They need to have some sense in the aspect of what bounces. But that said, is there substantial and significant interest in making certain that balance exists? And how exactly can you profit from that? Can you pander and generate profit? Maybe so. 2006, Fonterra, New Zealand's a world-leading exporter of dairy products, had a lot of competition in local markets. Up in the UK, local producers ran advertisements claiming the dairy products with all those high food miles contribute more to global warming. Don't buy their milk, don't buy their dairy products, only buy ours because we're local. Fonterra took a scientific and holistic approach. They actually did some research on it and came up to a conclusion. It generated that most greenhouse gas is emitted in the dairy product supply chain is generated at the farming step. That kind of comes from the cows. The cows eat and they produce milk and they also generate gas. I'll let you figure that one out. The study found that the New Zealand farmers use less energy producing lamb than German producers. Another research showed producing milk in New Zealand and shipping dairy products to Britain consume 50% less energy and generate 50% less carbon greenhouse gas than UK milk producers. Oh, so they argued about sustainability with data. That's something that you don't see a lot in this whole world because of the fact that people make a wild claim, they're bad and they're evil. What does bad and evil mean? What does sustainability mean? What does get down to the numbers and look at that? And then sit down and have a counter assault in the process. Fonterra did, and they regained their market structure by simply bringing the data out to the people that are most interested in it, the consumers. Do the consumers have a right to buy the product that interests them the most? Do they have a right to know if the product is using sustainable metrics in the aspect of trying to produce the product they're buying? Do they have a right to sit down and say, this product is greener than this product and make a choice? I think that probably is the whole rub in the aspect of what is sustainability. The answer is yes. And if you are producing a product or a service that is more sustainable and your clientele is interested in that sustainability as an aspect of what service or product they're purchasing, they have a right to know about it. And by the way, you have a right to tell them about it and make some more profit. Pandering and profit, they can be the same thing. People like it. The more they like it, the more inclined they are to buy that service, to buy that product. It's a big deal. Tide. For years, we've been buying these big, gigantic bottles of Tide detergent. You buy this big gallon jug, and then it's got a spout in it. You could refill other ones, and it's a lot of liquid. The bulk of the liquid is water. So Tide came up with different options. They sat down and they reduced the amount of water, and by reducing the amount of water, they saved some more water, and they saved the big giant plastic jugs, and they shrank the size of the plastic jugs to something smaller. Not only that, Walmart highlighted the ads that its concentrated products reduce packaging waste. So now they're advertising they're more sustainable. Same cleanliness, similar price, but a whole different footprint of the actual container, and a footprint different than all that extra water in the process. They even came out with little cubes you can now toss into your washing machine that do the same thing. Somebody else came out with sheets, detergent sheets that you toss in with your load, and you just use the water that you use to wash your clothes, and it'll wash your clothes that way. Oh, miraculously, Tide came out with that too. So that said, are people interested in sustainability? And will the market dictate what the consumer wants, therefore dictate what goes in through the supply chain? Pandering and profit, they can be and often are the same thing. Consumers are buying what the consumer wants. It's America, folks. It's called capitalism. And we tend to move, not so much, yes, we have to move by regulation when it's mandated, but the reality of it is if we let the market take care of itself and focus in on the aspect of sustainability, a lot more supply chains will become more sustainable. And by the way, they are. Companies believe that consumers care about social responsibility. They'll do something even if a consumer is going to switch from your brand to somebody else's because you're not doing a good job. Miraculously, I'll bet you'll get the message when you start all of a sudden losing your profit, and then you start saying, "Oh, we're sustainable too. We'll do it too." That kind of is how it works in the process. Go green. A lot of green practices lead to efficiencies, cost reductions. It's a good way to save money in the supply chain. More often, there's difficult trade-offs with a greener performance being achieved at a cost. Doing good is not restricted, by the way, to environmental issues. There's a lot of different social issues out there that you have to really pay attention to as well. Here's a unique one. If you could imagine India, is dominated by the religious aspect of the Hindu faith, which really a lot of them are full-blown vegetarians, don't eat any type of meat. And of all things, cows are a very sacred animal to many communities in the entire country of India. So Nestle, what on something really tenuous, they started working with the people to deal with their cows. It's a big deal. To some extent, I would expect if I were around in 1961 to watch it, I would say they have to approach this whole topic really carefully, but they did. They set up their first milk processing facility in 1961 in the state of Punjab. It's a poor region, but it required assistance a lot more so than in other countries. Nestle had milk collection points, chilling centers, farm cooling tanks. Really, they took care of the cows because the cows were a source of revenue for everybody, from the farmer to Nestle to all the different collection centers. And the program grew from the original 180 farmers in 1961 all the way in 2005 to 95,000 centers, to a large number, even much farther than that today. So we're looking at corporate responsibility really created tangible business opportunity and value for everybody in that supply chain. And they had a chance to really import milk out of the country into other areas. And really, they benefited a much larger community and brought revenue into the entire country of India. Corporate responsibility, we defined it the way companies manage their businesses to produce a positive impact on society through social and environmental actions. You can do both and make a profit. You can do both and make a bigger profit. You can do both and make a bigger profit and a bigger impact on society as a whole. Social responsibility, sometimes it's a radical change for businesses, and it really steps away from pure philanthropy as well as compliance. It really is a sound investment because it creates value. Some of the mantra of it is that community development, safety standard. If you do community development, then the community is going to respond back to you. There's always one thing here in Southern California. Since 2007, there's been one motor car company that whenever you hear the phrase helpful, and it's almost impossible not to say helpful Honda people. They've been pushing this aspect of some type of social responsibility, and they've been having these cheesy advertising, and they are cheesy. They're using unpaid actors to do it, and so they have this whole thing. Except the reason it's been around since 2007 is that we like it. That's the reality. If it wasn't a good advertising campaign, they would stop doing it, but they keep on using the same ads in a similar genre of ad in the process because we like corporations that do social responsibility. They improve working conditions, they watch the supply chain, the decarbonization of it, waste management, energy conservation. A lot of times when we looked at on this whole aspect of what happened in India, they had local distributing centers and they had small town emerging retail market. You have different things. Coca-Cola, it helped really Coca-Cola grow its sales through distribution centers in Ethiopia and Tanzania, where 80% of its products are through the DCs. A lot of times we think Coke and Pepsi are equal. They come close to the market share here in the United States, but worldwide, Coke by far dominates planet Earth when it comes to soda. So that being said, corporate social responsibility, is it profit or pandering? Both. If you do it, if you do social responsibility, tell it. That way, the pandering can turn into profit. Take care.